Going on, everyone? So Kawhi Leonard and the Los Angeles Clippers have really put on a show against the Phoenix Suns. They stole game one and looked like a team that was dead in the water going into this series without Paul George. Many people were writing them off and thinking, okay, they're probably going to lose in five, maybe six, but very likely the Phoenix Suns are going to come out. Kawhi Leonard, he's the playoff mode, right? And you see him. Kawhi Leonard, playoff Kawhi is a real thing. And Kawhi is out here just locking it up on the defensive end. He's absolutely just picking his spots and just slicing and dicing the Phoenix Suns and is just putting on a full display. And it's like, okay, well, this is why you load manage Kawhi all season long. Russell Westbrook in game two had a great game for the Clippers, and in game one was an absolute defensive monster. I mean, had arguably his best defensive game of his career. Was just dominant on whoever he guarded, whether it was Devin Booker, Chris Paul, or Kevin Durant, and seemed to really be giving Kevin Durant fits these last two games. And the Clippers look like a team that, hey, they did their job. They split the series 1-1, heading back to LA and have an opportunity to potentially go up 3-1 and maybe even win this series with Paul George potentially coming back for the second round. That was until today when we got the news that Kawhi Leonard is going to load manage in the playoffs. Not really, but he is out game three. So Kawhi Leonard is going to miss game three due to a knee sprain. And this is just, what do you say? This is ridiculous. If you're the Clippers, you cannot be happy. If you're Steve Ballmer, you gotta be furious. You have these two stars, Kawhi Leonard's coming to the Clippers. When he comes to the Clippers with Paul George, it's this whole thing. And, Kawhi's doing these commercials about how he's the king of LA and he's running LA and all this stuff. And what have the Clippers done? Absolutely nothing. They've been first and second round exits every year. They've been to one conference finals in which they lost. And it's just been an absolute disaster since they've been there. They have nothing to show for it. They have one of the highest payrolls in the entire league. They do, on paper, arguably have the best and deepest team in the entire league. But you can't rely on your stars if you're the Clippers. You have a real opportunity here to go up 2-1 against the Phoenix Suns. You're going to LA. They're going to have to come and win on your home court. If you take care of home court, you win the series. You win all your home games. Guess what? You win the series. But now instead, you're going to be out with not just Paul George. And the Paul George thing was terrible. I mean, that injury looked awful. I mean, that looked like an injury that could have potentially been career-ending for Paul George, especially given his history and just the severity of injuries he's had over his career. You saw that injury, you're like, God. And luckily, it wasn't as bad as it could have been, and he is potentially scheduled to come back for the second round. But the Clippers would have to be in the second round, and the only way to do that is if Kawhi Leonard is playing. Now you're in LA, you're going up against a team that many people think is going to come out of the West in the Phoenix Suns with Devin Booker, Chris Paul, DeAndre Ayton, Kevin Durant, and your one hope is that playoff Kawhi, maybe you get some great contribution from Russell Westbrook, and then you have your role guys really step up and play great. Maybe that can be the opportunity. And now you're without your best player in Kawhi Leonard, who what's the point of load managing this guy the entire season, every season, and having this guy play 20 games a year, and you barely squeeze into the playoffs, but you're like, hey, it doesn't matter if we make the playoffs. You have Paul George and Kawhi Leonard, and they can't stay healthy. They can't stay on the court. And look, I am far from a Clipper fan. If you're familiar with me and my channel and stuff like that, I'm a Laker fan. From a Lakers standpoint, this is great, right? Because this is the one team that has just had the Lakers' numbers the last several seasons, right? They've won 11 straight. So if the Phoenix Suns can eliminate the Clippers, by all means. But it's from a sports person, somebody that's a fan of the game, that loves the game, that wants to see the competition, that wants to see the best games possible, that wants to see everybody healthy and on the court, game in and game out. You see this, and it's just like, really, isn't the whole point of the playoffs to toughen it out and stuff like that? I mean, unless it's like a real severe sprain or knee injury. But if that's the case, then if you're the Clippers, you really got to consider trading him in the offseason. I don't even know if you can, but you have to. I'm sure there's some team out there that would look at it and go, man, we're good enough to make the playoffs. If we can have a healthy Kawhi, that would take us over the top. That's definitely a real possibility, but if you're the Clippers, I would be looking to trade Paul George and Kawhi Leonard this offseason, especially if you're losing the first round. You're very likely the Phoenix Suns are going to come in. They're going to win this game. They're going to go up 2-1. Maybe Kawhi comes back for game 4. Maybe a tie at 2-2. But now you just lost home court. And it's just going to be this just grinding uphill battle. I just don't see this happening. You're going to give the Phoenix Suns all the momentum in the world. You're going to the more games that this plays out, the more likely Kevin Durant's going to figure it out, the more likely Devin Booker's going to figure it, the more likely the Phoenix Suns are going to figure it out. Like, the Clippers had a real opportunity to kind of try to put this away quick before Phoenix can figure this all out and put their foot on the gas. And now you're going to be without Kawhi Leonard. You were already without Paul George. It doesn't make sense for the Clippers to continue this experiment. It just isn't working. At this point, you might as well just go and try to retool or rebuild or do something, because it's not working out. It's not looking good, and the Clippers aren't going to win anything. Every year it's the Clippers' year. Every year it's been the Clippers' year for the last 10 plus years. Every year they arguably have one of, if not the best rosters in the league. And every year they failed to reach a goal. Even just getting out of the Western Conference. The Clippers have still never been to an NBA Finals. Like, ever. Like, that's crazy to think. Think of how much talent the Clippers have had over the last several years. And this type of Clippers team. This team is supposed to be it. And once again, they're just not. Now, maybe you get some heroic game with Russell Westbrook and you just surround him with a bunch of shooters. Maybe he can go get you like some monster like 30, 15, and 15 triple-double game. Maybe he has that in him. And maybe, guys just get hot and shoot the lights out and all that stuff. But it's just, realistically, this game is probably over. This series is probably over. Kawhi Leonard is unreliable. Paul George is kind of becoming unreliable too, if not already unreliable. Although his are clear injuries, right? It's not like, and they're not purposely trying to load manage Paul George. Where Kawhi Leonard, literally, teams, especially the Clippers, are doing everything they can to load manage Kawhi Leonard and keep him as fresh and healthy as possible. But this is also who Kawhi is. If he's not 110%, or if he doesn't believe he is 110%, he doesn't care what the organization thinks. He doesn't care what the doctors think. He doesn't care about anything other than, how do I feel? And if you're an organization and you really do have championship aspirations, which I do believe the Clippers do. I definitely believe Steve Ballmer does. Steve Ballmer absolutely wants to win every year. You see that guy, you could see the passion. He's just, just lighting up every moment. You could see the frustrations when they're bad. You can see the joy when they're good. And you can't rely on your two best players. You're better off just trying to go trade for them. You're better off just trying to go move off of them. Maybe you can even find a team that has a disgruntled star. Maybe Atlanta, right? Maybe you could go and trade for Trae Young and give up Kawhi Leonard and some assets and stuff like that, to where maybe the Atlanta Hawks could go, oh, well, maybe we could try it with Atlanta. Maybe it'll fit better. If not, then, at least it's a trade piece that we could get to maybe go get some other assets, or maybe go get another. I don't know, just throwing out ideas. But the Clippers are it's really unfortunate from, I'm sure, a Clipper fan standpoint, from an NBA standpoint. Because, again, as somebody that just wants to see good games, and that Suns and Clippers series has been a lot of fun to watch lately, this game's probably going to be a blowout. But you never know. You see teams play to their competition all the time. You see stars sit out all the time, and then all of a sudden, the bench and everybody picks it up, and they make it a competitive game. It's a possibility. It really is. But it's just, if you're the Clippers, you cannot be happy about this. And Kawhi Leonard, he's not reliable and can't be trusted. But I really do believe that you got to trade Kawhi Leonard. You got to trade Paul George if you want to try to win. They're kind of handcuffed. They're kind of in a rough spot, but you got to figure it out. But anyway, as always, this is a discussion, so I pass the question on you. Let me know your thoughts and opinions down in the comments below. What do you think of Kawhi Leonard sitting out tonight? Do you think the series is over? Do you agree that, like, hey, you got to trade Kawhi Leonard? It's just not working out. He's unreliable. Let him go be somebody else's problem. How do you feel about the Clippers as a whole? What are your thoughts about the situation? Are you disappointed? Is this something that you expect? However you feel. Love to hear it. Let me know down in the comments below.